All right, Matthew, welcome to episode 24 of the Performance Advantage podcast. And I want to talk to you about training for Enduro mountain biking because in the scheme of things, it's kind of a new sport and a lot of people don't really know what or how to train. Like, is it sprinting? Is it endurance? Is it technical skills? I want to pick your brains.
Yeah, let's do it. It's trending as well.
Is it?
I mean, Enduro has been trending since it started because it's pretty cool.
It is. I've heard it referred to as like the new middle-aged man's golf.
Really?
Yeah. You haven't heard
Wow.
that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's definitely taken over because that was triathlon and kind of cycling. But now these middle-aged dudes are thinking that that's pretty cool, buying a sick-as mountain bike, shredding the trails and getting taken around in a ute or an old bus or something around the forest.
Yeah, I mean, you are pretty cool if you do that. Like, Enduro can be cool for everyone. And, like, triathlon, though, like, let's be honest. Like, not everyone looks good in a wetsuit.
Yeah, and rocking up to your local calf fully lycra'd out in your cleats.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool. Like, at least if you're doing Enduro, you can look super casual.
Yeah, you get
So,
some
like,
Mons, some POC gear.
Yeah. So you have POC shorts, POC helmet, Mons Royale merino top. You don't necessarily need to wear a chamois, but there are reasons to. But yeah, you can look super cool and have a lot of fun actually, and it's good because you're exercising really, so you can stay really healthy. I don't know how much exercise there really is in golf, so it's good we've kind of transitioned to having Enduro being the middle-aged men's sport.
Yeah. Okay, Matt. Well, before we get into it, we'll just catch up on what you've been up to because looking on Instagram, you had a bit of a relay race.
Yeah, we did. We every year, the local club, regional club, whatever you want to call them, they put on this race that's called the Sizzler. And honestly, I don't know why they call it the Sizzler because it happens in the middle of winter. And it's a 5-hour relay race in the forest, so pretty close to the beach. So the trails are real sandy, so that's why we're there in the winter. Obviously winter is a good time to go mega hours. Someone told us that a long time ago, so we kind of have stuck with it with the racing. And it's just a good time to ride around for 5 hours.
Yeah. So did you do, was it 5 hours, the race?
Yeah, so the race starts at like 9:30 in the morning, and the last time you can go out for a lap is 2:30 in the afternoon or something like that. So we did a team of 3, and we were in the category of teams of 2 to 4 people. So obviously I picked some fast teammates, some of the fast local boys, and I was like, "You guys want to drive over to the race in my van and like do this sick relay race?" They're like, yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And, my job on the team was to give them a nice long break so that way they could smash it for a couple of laps. But, yeah, we had a lot of fun and ended up winning, which was pretty cool. And the boys threw down some mega fast lap times. Mine weren't too bad as well. My power was pretty good.
People could see it this time, eh? You turned up, got the right place.
Yeah. So showed up at the right place at the right time. We were actually even early.
Oh.
Had some time to stop off for a coffee. They were doing a fundraiser at the coffee cart, so $1 of every coffee they sold that day went to Caleb's World Championships fund to help him get over to Canada. So that was super cool. So we got those coffees and we went to the race, smashed ourselves. They made it. So Ben made his last lap just before the cutoff, like 1 minute before the cutoff. So that meant I had to go out and smash it for another lap.
So you were allowed to go over 5 hours?
Yeah, so you can go over 5 hours.
Yeah.
But you can't start your last lap, or you can't start any laps after the 5 hours. So if your last person comes in at 4:59, you have an opportunity to go out. So I wasn't going to risk losing the race that way, so I went and just smashed it one last time. They thought it was pretty funny to make me go out again. I didn't really, but it was a nice fast lap, or at least reasonably. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. Because I did a 6 hour one six hour Wainoa Mata worlds.
Oh yeah.
But I wasn't allowed. I finished at like 5 hours 54 because at 6 hours you stopped. Like that was it.
Yeah, I've seen different rules, but that tends to be the rule, is like you can go out up until the time limit. So yeah, no, they're fun. I always loved the relay. Like I always look forward to them because we always had one back home in the States, and it was the first race on the calendar, and we just loved it. And yeah, it's just good fun.
Sweet. Yeah, it is. Like we do a pretty individual kind of sport, so you get that team aspect of it. Does make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, a little bit of strategy comes into it, and like, the laps change, and you get an opportunity then after the race to look at your own performance, be like, okay, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And you can see your times, you can see hopefully your power and your heart rate, and you can kind of think about what your different pacing strategies did. So it's cool. Sweet. How about you?
Well, I did a 10-kilometer time trial running, just for the club. And it was a very loose 10K. It was a little bit over. But on the 10K, it was good. I went just under 34 minutes. So I coached an athlete, Ian, who was meant to be running it with me, but he did it in the morning because he had stuff on. So he went 33:53. So I just had to beat that. So I went 33:49 for the 10K.
Okay. Yeah. That's
so that was great. Like I felt strong, not that fast. I didn't feel that fast, but I haven't done any speed work, so it makes sense. But unfortunately, Matt, I tweaked my Achilles. Now, I'm one who doesn't really ever get injured. My body just reacts differently. I get tired rather than injured when I'm overdoing things.
Well, maybe it's because you listen to your body when you're tired, and you usually stop.
Potentially.
Before you get injured.
But yeah, it tweaked a little bit, and I thought that's a bit sore. Pushed on. It was maybe at like 7Ks and finished up, and it was so sore. Man, I took 2 days off, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, yesterday. I ran for a little bit. I only managed like 20 minutes, and I was like, this is really sore. Not so much that I like had to stop running, but I know with 100Ks coming up in 4 weeks, that's the goal. Like that's one of the biggest learnings I've taken away from like my years of experience as being an athlete and a coach, is like I want to race really well at the 100Ks and the other races I have before and after it. So it's like, what's the point in half-assing my training and potentially not even turning up on the start line when I could just take a week off?
Yeah.
And
being fully like obliterated is going to do way worse for you than it would be like having 1 week of doing nothing.
Exactly. And part of my takeaways from the Rotorua Marathon, which didn't go so well, was that not resting kind of thing. Like, so last week I didn't run on Sunday because I did the race the time trial on Saturday. Sunday is sore, so I was like, I'll just chill out. And then I see my weekly kilometers, and it's at 74 for the week because I had a long run planned for Sunday. Now, when previously over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks, I was averaging 120Ks, and you see 74, that looks like a big reduction in my fitness. And it's also really hard to admit, like, I got something wrong. You want to fool yourself, like, no, I'm not injured. Like, I haven't stuffed this up. It's pretty hard. So you try and like just, I don't know, justify why it happened or how it happened. But I know one of the things I didn't do while I was away on holiday and running a lot was take care of myself. I was on holiday, so I wasn't eating as well.
Chocolate.
Yeah. And we had a camper van, so I wasn't doing my yoga, which I've really focused on after Rotorua because I didn't take care of my body. So it's like, in order to be able to run, I set myself a limit of 3 yoga sessions a week because I know it makes a difference for me. Regardless of what people say, like for me, I know there's direct correlation, and I didn't do that for almost 2 weeks, and what do you know? Like I've tweaked.
There you go. That's science. That is science. You
Correlation,
must do yoga.
causation.
Correlation equal causation. Yep.
So it sucks. There's no way around it. But I also know I rested for 2 days and it got a lot better. I went for a run and it still wasn't quite better. So I know there's also that. It's not like some of those other injuries where you're like, well, it's not getting any worse if I run, and it's not getting any better if I rest. So what do I do? There was that direct relation. So yeah, I had a big run planned this weekend, and obviously it was going to be a bigger week of training, 4 weeks out. It's generally one of my key weeks, and that hurts. It hurts to admit, like I got something wrong. I wasn't able to complete a plan. Now you have this plan written down. You're like, what do you do? And like that plan in your head equals fitness. Like this is my fitness, and I can no longer do this. So I'm now no longer able to achieve my goals or get fit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I think that's a lot of people. That's what's happening in my head.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't work like that. You just don't lose fitness. And we talked about this yesterday because we were talking about some training things, and I was talking about what I had planned for one of my athletes. And I was like, well, do you think, like with this big race coming up, do you think we should, like we had to change things on the fly because I noticed a little bit of fatigue. So we added a little bit more rest. I was like, do you think now that we added the rest, we can add this more like high intensity stuff? I was like, what do you think about that? And you're like, why? Why does it matter? Like, obviously, like the rider's fit. Like, what are you adding this extra stuff for? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, the worst thing to do is to either show up, really tired, or in your case, to show up to the race injured.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want that. So, like, having that week off, you'll be fine.
You know what we did sort of conclude in that discussion was, regardless of how undertrained you are, if you are fresh and you smash yourself in a race, you feel good. Remember?
Definitely.
But if you're overtrained in any sort of capacity and you can't get the most out of yourself on that day, you feel less than ideal.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you're gonna be way more upset if you feel bad at a race than if you are a few spots back, maybe because for whatever reason, but you felt really good. That is going to be more important, especially when it comes to the bigger events.
If you're listening to this and you think back about your best events, more often than not, they're not the personal best. They're that time at which you just went deep, you went to the well. Like you were able to your body was like, yep, you want to keep pushing, let's go. I was saying to you about Rotorua, I did my second best marathon time ever by like just I was only 1 minute slower than my personal best on one of the hardest marathon courses in New Zealand, and I was upset.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for me to be upset, but I was upset because I couldn't get the most out of myself. Like I was fighting mentally, physically. It was just, there wasn't a connection there. It was a struggle. And in the end, that's why we do this. We do this to like find our limits and have that mind-body interaction so that it works out on the day. And if you turn up fresh, maybe you could have trained a little harder, but you get to you find that out. And then failing is also kind of good because you're willing to try and find your limits. Like, oh, wow, I found them. There they were. That sucks. I'm going to have to pull back.
Yeah. But if you don't get the opportunity to find your limits, you're going to be disappointed every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's where a lot of people are. Like I was there when I started training I wasn't doing enough because I was just getting into it. I didn't know what to do. And I wasn't like, training wasn't on the forefront of my mind. So rest days, whatever, it wasn't the high priority that it is now.
But how did you feel at every event?
Yeah.
You
like
probably felt amazing.
Yeah. I could just smash it.
Yeah.
Like I just went as hard as I could, and got the most out of myself and was like, oh yeah, damn, didn't win or didn't beat my time or was like not last out of the swim. So that was good. And then you get more committed. So you train harder and then you think a day off equals a day less fit. And then you get to the race and you're like, man, I'm worse than when I was hardly training.
Yeah.
And you get through that stage and you realize you need to go back to something else, or you get some guidance. Generally that's what happens, is you come in and you get some professional help, or you just get a training plan. You're like, okay, this is a bit better, and you work on your way up through there. It's just part of the cycle of it, I guess.
Yeah. We went through something like this recently with a rider that I work with, where nationals for Enduro didn't really go, it didn't go the way he had planned. Like, he thought it would go a little bit better. And the main issue was that he just didn't feel like he could push himself. And, we got to talking. I was like, remember when you first started and you weren't training and you went to every race and you just felt amazing? Like, it feels really good to be able to push yourself. Well, now that you're training, sometimes you get tired. We need to make sure that you're not tired for these big events, because then you can feel like you can push yourself. And that's really good. So the thing we came up with for the upcoming Enduro World Series race that has just been is like, take a step back. You're not going to, even if you lose a ton of fitness in these like 10 days or whatever it was, we want you to feel good, right? And you're not going to lose all your fitness in 10 days. It just doesn't happen. But we want you to feel good for all those races, because that's when you get that really good feeling. You can really push yourself, especially in something that's like where skills are super important, like Enduro.
Yeah, and that gets more into the art of coaching than the science, because we're trying to find that balance. Because you could also just not train and turn up and feel amazing, and then feel horrible after the first minute of whatever duration event. And you're like, well, that just sucked because I was so unfit.
Yeah, you can't improve if you're not training. And that's the thing. The difference between training and just exercising is that, like, when you're training, there are times when you need to plan in that you're actually going to be more tired than you should want to be, because you're pushing yourself and you're getting really fatigued, and then once you rest, then you get better. And that's what training is, and you need to do that to keep improving. Otherwise, you just kind of you can peter on and never really improve, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you really need to dig deep and get tired sometimes if you want to get better.
Yeah, you just got to be proactive rather than reactive, ideally, to the rest.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we do structured training, where we do something like 3 weeks on, 1 week off, because then we can control what's happening. And if we just are continuously doing the same thing over and over, we either hit a plateau or we just get into a hole that we can't get out. And we talked about this a little bit in one of our more recent episodes.
Yeah, last week's one was great. I had awesome feedback from last week's one.
Yeah, last week was good. We set ourselves to like 5 minutes for each topic, I think, or something like that. And like Will would give me the signal on the video, because we do this over video, and he's like, "Oh, nope, we're moving on." I'm like, "Okay, I'll stop talking." But it was pretty good. A real short one, and we got some good feedback. People liked it.
Yeah. So then we'll get straight into it, Matt, with the Enduro mountain biking.
Yeah.
I haven't raced an Enduro. I'd like to.
Well, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I've got a mountain bike, and I live in Rotorua.
Yeah, they do like pretty much the biggest enduros in New Zealand are in Rotorua, like year after year.
World Series even.
Yeah.
But like, how do you train for something like that? From my perspective, like, I've worked with triathletes and cyclists, mountain bikers, but like cross country, all this people I've worked with are like some kind of continuous race. There's not really this situation, besides some multi-sport, but pretty much it's still a continuous, but day after day. With Enduro, you sort of go really hard for however many minutes. Could be like 2 minutes up to 20 minutes per stage. And then you stop for a bit, but then you've got to get to the next stage. Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, well, so this is kind of where I start with my the way I see enduro. And I get a lot of, backlash for this or whatever, and I don't really care what people think about, how I approach enduro. But I don't see enduro as being different from that. It's not that different from other endurance sports. Because when I look at endurance, I think of endurance as being something anywhere between like 5-ish minutes to 25 hours or something like that. And I don't see them as being that different. There are small little differences in how you prepare, but overall, like fitness is really, really similar. Gesundheit. It is allergy season. So I know, like, some people say, like, there are renowned coaches that say enduro is not an endurance sport. And I say, well, yes and no, because you are out there for a long time, number one. And, if that's the only way you see enduro, then you might look at it as an endurance sport. So people be like, yep, you're out there for 6 hours. It's an endurance sport. I say, yeah, you're out there for 6 hours. But actually what you really need to do is go really, really hard a bunch of times over and over and over. So to me, that is why it's an endurance sport.
Cool. So you've identified it as an endurance sport. Then are you just training aerobically?
No. So when I think about the priorities in enduro, number one is skill. So you could be the least fit person out there and you could smash yourself down a hill and you can make it down in one piece and get lucky 100 times over and over and over, and you could do really, really well at enduro.
Yeah.
And in that case, fitness, maybe you're so skilled that being really, really unfit doesn't matter. Skill is number one. And that is what we're always aiming to. That's why we're always aiming to be really, really fresh when we race, especially at important races. So that way we can use all our skills. Because if we get, if we're super flat or something, or we get super tired, then we're not able to use our skills at the highest level, at our highest potential, right? So then second off, that's when I look at fitness. So, okay, we have these skills that are super important. We need to get you more fit so that way you can use your skill to its fullest potential and make it down a full run without getting overly fatigued, or, you're able to do a really hard effort, execute a skill, do a really hard effort, and recover really quickly. And then you do that a few times in different stages. So I see skill as number one, and then fitness as number two, and then freshness is probably a mix of both of those, and you need to be really fresh for every race.
Well, part of it, and for those who are listening who aren't actually sure what enduro mountain biking is, it's essentially a day or 2 days of stage races, and they're downhill segments, and you have to bike to each downhill stage. You may get some uplifts, a gondola or a shuttle or something up the mountain to part way or all the way to the next course. But for the most part, you're biking for a majority of the day, if not 2 days. So then what's really important when you say, yes, skill, but if you've got a 1 day enduro race with 6 stages, by that 6th stage, you say you have to be fresh to perform well. Well, you've got to be fresh to be out there for 6 hours or a whole day, 8 hours, and still be able to hit that 6th, 5th, the last stage, right?
Yeah, because you might only have 20 or 30 minutes of racing over 6 stages, So then if they're 5 minutes each, and you get to the 6th one and you're just absolutely dead and you can't hold onto the bike, well, there goes your race, because the results are a cumulative time. So if you are totally dead on the final stage, you could drop, tons of positions, or just, lose a lot of time.
Well, so you say the result is a cumulative time. It's not points. Like, it's not 100 points for winning stage 1, and et cetera, et cetera. So you could, maximum 6 stages, 600 points kind of thing. If it's time, are you thinking about how you're pacing each stage?
Absolutely. That's super important.
Okay. Yep.
And like the way I look at, like if I'm trying to explain this to an athlete, I talk about Usain Bolt. And we know that he can run 100 meters.
Renowned enduro mountain biker.
Yeah. He is so fast at enduro because he eats so many good sweet potatoes from Jamaica. No, he's, he can run 100 meters really, really, really fast. And that's his event. So if he runs his 100 meters as fast as he can because he's so good at running 100 meters, he's pretty done. Right? So like he goes all out, does his 100 meters. He's probably done for the rest of the day. He's not going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen in an enduro. And to take off the line on stage 1 and give, 3,000 watts for 10 seconds, our personal best power, and then clamber down the stage and then have to do 5 more after that. It's just not possible. Our bodies just can't do it. Even if we're the best sprinter, even if we're the best endurance athlete, we definitely need to think about pacing.
So there's a reduced capacity there now, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. And like a stage is 5 minutes or something like that, even if it's 3 minutes. We can't just blast off the line and expect to execute skills the whole way down after we've just done a max effort. And we think about this in training, do a max effort and then try and concentrate on anything else. It's really difficult. And the gains of like smashing yourself like 1,000,000% in a sprint, like because as you go faster, your drag increases, your aerodynamic drag increases, and you get to the first corner, you're going to have to brake it all away. Use all your brakes, take away that energy to slow down. Pacing just gets really important, and the top riders have that really dialed. So they're using their energy as they have to down the stage.
Okay, so I want to do the Crankworx Enduro in March, I think.
Are you committing?
No.
Are you committing?
No.
Okay. We should like somehow trap you into committing to doing the Crankworx Enduro.
I'll do it if you do
eyebrows
a running event.
How long?
I'm not sure. You should. I'm doing the Tarawera 100K, which is part of the Ultra World Series, which is also in Rotorua because we have such an amazing facility within the forest. So I'm doing, there's a race the day before, a 25K trail race, which is like a supporters race.
Oh, yeah.
You should do, if you do that and then you can support me for the 100Ks, I will do the Enduro race like the next month.
Okay.
The Enduro mountain bike race.
Deal. Done.
All right, we'll go put our feelers out to the organizers and see if our huge audience is enough for us to get some free entries.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so you're committing to it. What do you need to know? Let's get you rolling. Let's get you on that top step.
Okay, well, I need to.
I mean, you're a good mountain biker. I've mountain biked with you.
Thanks.
You're pretty good.
There's a video. You took a video of me.
Well, you took a video of yourself with the brake power meter.
Okay. Where do I begin? What's my week? Am I all skills? Like, because I'm already really fit.
You are really fit. But okay, so you're coming from a running background, and you're going to need to make some changes. Okay. One of the things I think about running is actually really good for preparing for the demands of mountain biking. Not in that like it's super specific, but one of the huge demands in any kind of gravity mountain biking is the vibrations. So we're standing, we're probably standing when we're going down the hill, and as we're going down the trail, the vibrations and the impacts are so big because the trails are bumpy. Like, so you think about every time you've gone down a trail and you smashed into a hole with your back wheel, you had to absorb that impact with your legs, right? So you didn't like concentrate on absorbing that impact with your legs. Maybe you did. But what you probably did is passively, you absorbed that impact so your body didn't crumple onto the bike, and you pushed back slightly, and then you did that about 1,000 times down the trail. Well, that's pretty much what you do in
Wow,
running.
that's just like running. Yeah, you literally catch your own body weight eccentrically so that you don't crumple into the ground.
Yep. So it's an eccentric contraction. You push back, and then you do it over and over and over. And like gravity, mountain biking is really, really similar. Like they're higher magnitude of impact usually, and that's why riders will do a lot of plyometric exercises to get some good muscle stiffness and to be able to push back really, really, really quickly, because that's what we need to do. Because if we're pushing back as we hit a hole really, really slowly, like we're just gonna our muscular contraction takes a lot longer, and like we just end up going slower and slower and slower. We're not able to work the trail. But
So
I think running
need that plyometrics then.
Definitely. That way you can push back and work the trail. Otherwise, you're taking it and you're just going slower, like a dead shock or something like that.
Yeah, just a rigid hardtail.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy, but I don't know. Like if you're dragging a sled, down a bumpy road, it's just going to take it and bounce. That slows it down. Eventually, it'll come to a stop. You don't want that to be you going down a trail because you're going to go really slow. So we do plyometrics for that. But running's a good place to start. So
all right,
like you'll be doing all right to start off.
So I got my plyometrics. Put that in. That's cool. Now fitness. Where should I put? I guess I got two more aspects of my training plan. I've got plyometrics, didn't incorporate that. I'll do that now. Fitness, and I've got skill to put in my plan.
Well, for someone like you, since like you'd be like a unique case, really, because you love running and you're not going to stop running. And running, like actually, once you get out on the trails and you climb up a hill on your bike, you're actually like, good, like you're fit. So like you can get up a hill fine, you can get down a hill fine, especially once we work on your muscle stiffness and your ability to pump really hard and work the terrain. You'll save even more energy. But what we really need to get you to stop doing is braking so much around the turns. Right?
Yeah. So let's not think about me, because that's not really that applicable for most.
But it's important. It's really important because the more that you're braking around the turns, and we saw this with you, that even though you're really fit, since you're braking in the turns, you need to pedal after them.
Oh yeah. I'll link to the video where Matt and I, it's a split screen, and you'll see how much Matt brakes and how much I brake in the video on the same trail, Eagle versus Shark. Really interesting. Just to give you a perspective of where I sit, I think I was like 33rd on Strava for that track, which is one of the most popular tracks in Rotorua. So it was a good run. It was a really solid run. Matt was still faster, but it was so good because it's such a long track, and I was pedaling a lot that I was able to make up for my shortfalls in the braking. But it was eye-opening. Like that showed the value of the brake power meter, really, because I had no idea. I was just like grabbing a bunch of brake all the way around the corner. There's these big spikes, and Matt had nothing.
Yeah. So initially, like you were like going way faster than me. So like in the split screen, you were actually ahead for like quite a long time, actually, in the first couple of minutes of the trail. But one of the things that we didn't show was how much you were pedaling. So when I was putting the split screen together, I was able to listen. I could hear your breathing. So even though you're really fit, you pedaled, and then you brake, pedaled, and then you brake, pedaled, and then you brake. You're breathing so hard. It actually, by the end of that track, that ended up being a lot of work for you.
It was. I was bent over the bars.
Yeah.
I was wrecked, man.
Yeah. There you go.
Because what was it? It was about 5 minutes or something, 5.5
minutes. Yeah. It's pretty long. I think, it's a long track. Whereas I took the other approach where I was like, I know that this track is so long, I'm just going to focus on braking as smart as I can and not pedal. So I pretty much didn't pedal until the end. And that helped me to be able to focus on my braking more.
Yeah, well, at the end, it's essentially flat. It's just some flat rollers, little tabletops and stuff. Like you have to pedal, otherwise you just come to a stop.
Yeah, I still didn't pedal much there.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
but
maybe.
well, I felt like I was going slower, right? Because I wasn't pedaling. But you know, if I would pedal, I'd just end up braking more and I'd just get tired really. So I still continued the same approach of just pumping.
Well, you were faster than me, so.
Yeah, and there's other riders that are even faster yet because, they're probably more fit than me and more skilled. So they're able to combine it perfectly and just get down it insanely fast.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the plyometrics and the skills component. Now, let's just not talk about me. I'm super keen. There's hundreds of people do the enduro at Crankworks. They probably have, let's say, they've got 3 to 4 days to train for it. They've got the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and they have like 2 days during the week. But their week is pretty hectic, so maybe it's only 1 day.
Yeah, and that's pretty common. Like my most
that's
popular
why I gave an example.
Yeah, it's super common. I was actually really surprised, because for us, like we're our own bosses as coaches, so we can pretty much exercise when we want. So for me, like if it's a nice sunny day, like it is going to be later today, I'm going to go out riding. It does, like I can make time for that, and you definitely make time for that. But there are lots of people out there that just can't. They just can't find the time, family or whatever. So people exercising 3 or 4 days a week is way more common than I had expected. And those have been the most popular training plans for mountain biking. So if we strip it right back and we think about what we do in an enduro stage, what would you say?
In an enduro stage?
Yeah, so in a stage of an enduro race, what are we doing with our bodies from the moment we leave the line till we get down?
Controlling our bike, absorbing vibrations, trying to stay smooth.
So you already know too much. Think about it at its most basic level.
Trying to get down the hill. I don't know.
So we pedal hard, and then we rest, and then we control our bike, and then we pedal hard, and then we rest, and then we pedal hard, and then we rest. Right. So in exercise or in science or whatever, we call that intermittent. Right. So on and off, and when you're on, you're going really hard. When you're off, you're not going very hard. So the first thing that's at the front of most people's minds is intervals. Right? So I want to get better at doing that. I need to do more intervals. And that's another point where I say yes and no. So the way we get better at doing intermittent exercise is by being able to recover faster in between our hard periods. And that's what I tend to focus, because if you're a mountain biker and you're going out with your friends and you're smashing it down a hill, you're doing intervals already. So the way that we're going to get faster is by focusing on getting better at recovering in between those intervals. And usually for most people, that ends up being aerobic exercise, something steady, maybe something like a tempo or a threshold kind of effort. But if we're already going out there and we're smashing ourselves down a trail on and off anyway, doing more and more of that might not be the best way to get us more fit for enduro.
It's the converse, right? Like a lot of people think if I want to go faster, I do more of the faster stuff.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, like one of the examples I try and use when athletes come to me and get onto like my aerobic based training system that I leverage, it's like if you go run a kilometer or you sprint for a minute or so on your bike or you swim 100 meters, that's your speed, right? There's a speed there. Okay, so that's there. That shows that you can do that. Sure, maybe it's not as efficient as it could be, but you can do it. You can run a 3-minute K or a 4-minute K. You can hold 400 watts. You can swim under 2 minutes for 100 meters. You're like, sweet. Okay, now we need to figure out how you can sustain that. Now, by just doing that more, doesn't really mean you can hold it longer.
No, you're just going to get more tired.
So you can either do it a lot faster, which means you have to do it shorter. And then you can also do it a lot slower, which then means you should be able to do it longer. So you can, I in my head, I think about pulling up or pushing up. So you've got your threshold, you got your 1 minute whatever output. And then I think you can either pull it up by doing something a bit shorter, getting more efficient, getting a higher muscular contraction output, or you can push it up by getting the fundamental endurance base increase. So now you are able to go 20% above your aerobic threshold, which is your anaerobic threshold. Now your aerobic threshold is so much higher, the capacity to go up is still the same.
Yep. And you can do more of those 1 minute efforts without being totally dead as well, which is really important. Yeah, I think that's spot on. And, especially when we're thinking about something for enduro, like I'm not saying like don't ever do intervals, because obviously that's a huge part of what we do. Like not a huge part of what we do, but it's an important part of what we do when we're training for enduro. But it's not the hugest focus. Like, because remember, we said number one is skill. So if we're doing intervals, day one, skill day, or, mountain bike day, fun day, however you want to look at it, enjoying the trails, like that's also hard. What are we going to do? Back that up with another day of intervals? Because then suddenly we've had, like, mountain biking is never easy. I don't care who you are. It's never easy. You can't have an easy mountain bike ride. I just wrote a blog about this, analyzing some power files. It's not going to happen, especially once you account for impacts and vibrations. Can't do it unless you're at the very tippy top. So it's always going to be a hard day. We can't keep backing that up with more interval work. We're eventually going to get tired, hit a plateau, and then when we do get out for our mountain bike rides, we're going to feel totally flat, not be able to work the terrain, and that's when things go south.
Yeah. Well, you said like we've got skill, number one, then we've got freshness, and then we've got fitness.
Yeah.
So, or you sort of said freshness sits above the two. But yeah, if we just do intervals, that's not really going to help us on stage 6, is it? At hour 8.
No, we can't. And that's when it gets pretty handy to be doing endurance rides, because you can do something like have a hard mountain bike ride, which is, pretty specific. And it's not going to be easy anyway. So you might as well have fun with it. Either keep it super flexible or pretty hard. And then you can back it up with something like a long, easy road ride. And once you do that long enough, like, you're able to improve your aerobic fitness, which we know is super important for being able to sprint over and over, but you're able to continue then training and be recovered for those hard mountain bike days.
Yeah.
So you can be more fit and more fresh.
Yeah, that really, if you can do that aerobic training, it's you're winning all the way through. Right. But it's hard. It's hard to get your head around that. Yeah. Like, harder is faster, right? It makes sense. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
You try harder, you get better results. Like,
yes,
that's
no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
We've been trained to think like that.
Yeah, when you go out for an aerobic, however long, 45 minutes, 90 minutes, you're like, oh, well, that was good.
Yeah, like, oh, well, I could do that again tomorrow, easy. Which is good. That's what you want, because then you can, train more. But, one of the things that I do want to say is, like, for people that are really limited on their time, they maybe don't have that liberty. If you're only able to train 3 days a week, you're going to need to get in an interval session, most likely, and, even our elite athletes are getting in usually 1 or 2, hard sessions a week. And, especially for mountain bikers, a lot of times, their mountain bike ride, it's going to be hard anyway. And they want to do that because they work on their skills and it's super fun. They love it. like you can't tell someone to skip their mountain bike ride in lieu of an interval session that they might need that week. So we usually tack it on like at the beginning or the end of a group ride or something like that. Just to keep building on the specificity, keep in what they might need, and continuously build from there.
Yeah. So if I've got this right, I've got 3 days to train, right? So I'm going to, on Tuesday, I'm going to do a skills specific kind of ride. I'm still going to incorporate riding. It will be like 45 minutes. I'm going to go to Dodsey Skills Park.
Cool.
It's like a mountain bike skills park, and do some stuff there, and then go up a trail and down. And that should be my 45. Then on Thursday, I only have a lot of time. I've only got 30 minutes. So I'm going to do some super high intensity intervals with long rest for the sprints, because that's one of my weaknesses. Then in the weekend, I'll do the combo of like a day in the forest.
Yeah, just have fun.
But
because that's why I
want
started.
to still ride as well. So I might go to one of the trails really far away, like the Green Lake one. Like from that, in my head, that's really far away. Everyone else has no reference points to that.
No, yeah. So just keep it to yourself then. But yeah, something like that would be pretty good. If you have more time, then we'd probably add some easier easy sessions. And that's where we get to the other end of the spectrum, where we have the pros.
Biking to the office, or
Yeah. Commuting's a great way to get fit. I also wrote a blog about that. Get Fit by Biking to Work, where we analyze power files of commuting. Because I commuted every day for 5 years when I had a job. And it was great, But, you have the pros on the other end who have unlimited time. And I think
that we get sucked into as well in our mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that I always, because I like working with pros because it's a different challenge. But I also like, it's a different challenge than working with someone who has very limited time. When you have someone who has pretty much unlimited time to train, it's also really tricky, because then, they might feel like they need to train all the time, because they might get a little bit bored. Like they're super busy anyway, but they do feel like they need to spend more time training. So it gets tricky in another way.
Yeah, those are two ends of the spectrum. In the middle, it's like, it's fun. It's like, okay, I have 4 days and I'm pretty consistent at it. When you get to the pros and you go, okay, well, you're a bit injured, you need to have a day off. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is my life. I'm done.
Yeah.
And then you go to the other end of the spectrum, like, okay, this person has 3 days a week, then they go away for 2 weeks, then they've got another 4 weeks, then they've got a race. How can I get the most out of them within this time frame?
Yeah. It's especially tricky with mountain bikers. Especially if we look at the most important aspects of enduro or any kind of gravity racing, which is skill. What we find is that we find a lot of enduro mountain bikers then feeling like they need to be working on their skill all the time. And I think that's kind of a trap, because the only way to really work on your skills is to go out and, probably do more mountain biking. And like we said before, like you can't mountain bike easy. So what ends up happening is when they're doing a lot of mountain biking, and then they also try and add in intervals, gym training, and long road rides and things like that, you really need to account for that those mountain bike rides are not going to be easy. They're going to be intense. So prioritizing always mountain biking to work on your skill gets to be a trap, because then you can miss out on other aspects of your training, do too much, get a bit tired. And what I've found is that actually these guys and girls, they get to a certain point, especially at the tippy top, where working on a certain aspect of their, like doing more mountain biking, isn't going to make them better at mountain biking. They need to, pinpoint certain things to work on. And just by mountain biking all the time, they're not necessarily going to get better at going downhill. And they actually don't need to do it that much to maintain the skill that they have. What they need to be working on is the things that are limiting them. And for a lot of them, it's not that skill.
Yeah.
Because the skill's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So Seamus wouldn't mind me saying, I'm just going to go ahead and tell everyone that he's not going to mind me saying, like, he doesn't really ride his mountain bike that much. And he gets out there and he slowly builds it up over the season. He doesn't even touch his mountain bike over the winter. He slowly builds up over the season, and the boy's got some skills. He's limited only in the fact that he doesn't get to ride and race these big, massive races with gnarly terrain. He just did the EWS though, and he rode well. He rode really well. So he doesn't really touch his mountain bike that often. He'll focus on specific skills, work on his fitness, his available terrain, and slowly build up from there.
Right. Okay. That's helpful, Matt. I think I'm going to go quite well at this.
I'm going to hold you to this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you're going to have to hold me to this running thing.
I think we should do it. Like, they're both huge international events. So it'd be really cool to like get some footage and maybe vlog it or something. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We should, like, we've talked about you running and all of this kind of stuff, but I think this one should be a good competition.
Well, I just eyebrowsed you. So, I mean, if you don't do it, I'm going to cut off your eyebrows. So you're a bit late to eyebrows me, but so you have to do it. So I might as well hold up to my end of the deal.
Yeah. All right. So in summary, Matt, enduro mountain biking, what are we looking for? If we've got a week, you're giving someone a week, they're just going to replicate it. You're obviously giving it away for free if you want. There's some super awesome enduro mountain bike training plans. MTBPhD.com has them somewhere around there.
Well, actually, they're on smartmtbtraining.com. It's launching next week. I have a 12-week mountain bike full fitness plan.
Well, I think we're doing the proper launch next week for mine as well.
Oh, wow. Well, we're doing a double proper launch next week. That's going to be crazy.
It'll be nuts.
It's there. I have the 12-week plan, which I think will work for anyone new to training. But I'll give you this for free. If you have the 3 days a week, is that what you're sticking with?
Yep, I got 3 days to do my enduro training.
Yep, I would do 1 day of intervals. Okay. Probably really hard, short intervals with a long rest in between, so that way you can
give me an
recover in between.
Example.
An example of ones that I really like are you go 10 seconds.
Okay.
At like a 9 out of 10 max effort, and you rest for 50 seconds. You do that 5 times.
Okay.
We have one like that where we do standing the whole time. I gave that one away for free on my Instagram. And I think that's a super gnarly workout because you don't sit in between, but it's pretty enduro. #enduro.
All right.
So I would do one of those. I would do a fun, just skills focused mountain bike ride with my friends, maybe push it a little bit. And then I'd try and do like a longer ride.
All right. And now I've got bonus day. I've got an extra day. Now what am I doing?
Long road ride.
Okay.
An easy, it doesn't even have to be long, an easy road ride.
Okay. So my heart rate has to be zone 2 or below.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Matt, what's my zone 2 heart rate? Will's got a blog on that. Sick.
Oh, yeah. I was actually looking at that one. I was going to copy and paste the whole thing and put it in my website.
Coaching.tv.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, Matt. That was cool. That was really appreciate
cool.
that. Can't wait to smash it. All right. And to all our listeners, if you want to help us get our podcast out there, it is growing, but I think it could go out further. Review it. I have no idea how you do this because I have no idea what you're listening on. But if there is an option to review our podcast or share it, do that. If you listen on Spotify, you can actually share it straight to your Instagram story. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's super handy that they do that. Yeah. Or, even just tell us what you think about it.
Oh, man, the amount of feedback we got is awesome.
Yeah, we love that.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
Stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt. Well, you have a good week, and we'll catch up next week for the big launch.
Yeah, boy.